guys, welcome to another episode of Cryptic Conversations. I'm your host, Tunes from the Crypt, and we have another very special episode in store today. Today's guest is Nikki Buffa, who goes by Source Field Sound. Nikki is a spiritual sound healer offering a harmonious blend of ancient wisdom and modern healing practices. With a profound understanding of the transformative power of sound, Nikki embarked on her journey as a sound healer to explore the sacred frequencies that resonate with the very essence of our being. Guided by a deep passion for vibrational wellness, Nikki has become a beacon of healing, utilizing various instruments and modalities to create therapeutic sonic landscapes. Her unique approach weaves together tradition and innovation, allowing individuals to experience the profound effects of spiritual sound healing. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm so happy to be here. To meet you, and this is exciting.
Yeah. So I think to kind of kick things off, I'll tell the listeners about how we connected, how I came across your information. In this past year, I've been doing a lot more research into sound healing, sound therapy, that kind of a thing. And I know in November they had the 1111 portal. And, I've been hearing this thrown around a lot more recently, like the word portal or whatever. And so that kind of opened my eyes to the idea of, I was just watching some YouTube videos and some sound healings on the 1111 portal. Anyway, so I was scrolling on Facebook, last week, and randomly this event came across my timeline and it recommended this event. It was the 1212 portal. And so I clicked on it and it was your event that you had, a sound healing session over Zoom. And so I just decided to check it out. I was like, it was free. I was like, oh, this sounds cool, And so, sure enough, I went on and you did a great job. I really enjoyed it. That was my first sound healing. So thank you again.
Absolutely, and welcome in. I'm so glad that you came just the other night on the 1212 portal. It's stupendous that when the algorithms do recommend something that we're so interested in and that we've already been researching and match us, right? And so here we are, interests and all of that.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask you, so you labeled the event the 1212 portal transmission. So in your eyes, what does that mean exactly?
All right, cool. So 1212 was the date and is a numerological auspicious day, the 1212 portal. And, kind of in this realm of pop spirituality and, how we're choosing to bring awareness to our lives, these portal days are just a really fun and lighthearted way to start to access the awareness around vibrational medicine and different frequency healings that are out there. So I labeled it 1212 for that, and it is called a transmission because it is channeled sound healing. Sound healing music is often channeled, and so the sound baths that I play are in part planned out. I know a lot about what I want to convey with the sound healing arrangements, but then it's happening and being created in a impromptu way as well. I do call it a transmission because it's only going to come through like that just the one time.
Nice. I love it. So I'd like to ask you though too, like, why are people using that word portal? Obviously it's not like a literal portal, but I feel like people are using that word more and more. Like I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but from my perspective, obviously it's not like a literal portal taking you to like another dimension or something, but I see it as more like, helping you elevate, helping you kind of jump timelines or something into a higher vibration.
Absolutely. What a great question. Like, what is this word portal that we're seeing everywhere? So I'll tell you what I think, and that is that our minds are so creative. The meditations are so creative. The actual capabilities that we have so limitless. And when we start to become interested in a certain moment or even a certain place or a place in time or a memory or an emotion or any one thing that really grabs our attention in a way can become a portal. And so when we're meditating and we're choosing these times like a 1212 portal, there's an energy there that we're choosing to focus on. And that focus is actually creating a portal. Now, you could be experiencing a portal, let's say having a beautiful walk on any given morning and noticing a landscape soundscape and really lean into the visual and the light and the emotion of that moment, that can be a portal. Meeting with somebody that you haven't seen in a long time, that could be a portal in time, like a timeline, like you're talking about, where you might tunnel back to a different emotion or vibration. And so portal can really refer to any of the ways that we are traveling using our cognitive abilities in space and time. And it can be inspired by so many different things and is often talked about astrologically because, of course, what is the deepest recess of space that we can imagine is the cosmos. And so a lot of these popular portal days are named after different astrological or numerological concepts because that's a far place that we can be traveling, journeying, as you said.
I love that. Yeah, I can hear the passion in your voice. So that was my next question, actually. So obviously, the one that I attended with you was the new moon in Sagittarius. So, what role do astrological events play in these healings? Maybe even in general, and specifically for your sound baths as well.
I love the astrology because it's all about relational understandings. It's all about these aspects. And we have all these different human aspects within ourselves that are represented in the planetary transits and relations and all of these kind of larger concepts. It's very uplifting to think about things that are quite a bit larger than us and to even just access the idea that this in relation to this, in relation to who I am in this moment, can give a context. And so I enjoy to speak on the astrologies in the events because it's a great way to access these ways of thinking that can be very much like a divination, right? We read the description of the qualities of, say, the Sagittarius new moon, the Sagittarian. What are Sagittarian qualities and how are those positioned to give us something to think about? And that kind of thing gives a real starting place for people to even then discuss within their communities if they find it interesting.
Nice. So I'd like to ask you too, kind of like a low hanging fruit question here. So like, obviously the moon is like the closest object to us and, we have a lot of connection with the moon, right? So what power does the new moon have and what power does the full moon have?
Absolutely, the moon being our closest celestial companion. Yes, the moon, the new moon, if you're in observation of moon cycles, it's like I was saying, a nice way to kind of create a context for your meditations and a rhythm for yourself. And so the moon provides us with this very lovely and inspiring visual in the night sky of the whole cycle of growth and then all the way to the dark night, the dark moon, when the moon appears to be gone from the sky. And that's when it's popular to observe new intentions.
Yeah.
Right? Something new. What are you bringing in that's new? And then we grow it and we focus on what we're working on and how we're giving our energy. Where do you want to put your energy in this time? And then we grow that into the full moon. And then there's a nice way of observing for yourself and in your communities what's been going on and how have I developed? What have I been focusing on? And am I ready to renew my focus? And so it's really much to do about how we're giving our energy focus and the guidance that this visual and energetic presence can have for us.
I love that answer. So I see you have some tattoos on your fingers there. Can you talk about those a little bit? Like, what do those represent for you? And
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, I am a tattooed person. I love tattoo, and I do have some hand tattoos that are even these planetary symbols here,
yeah,
alchemical symbols here, or symbols from the tarot, or yeah.
nice, nice, cool,
Mhm.
cool. So yeah, I also saw that you hosted an event this weekend, the Winter Light Sound Bath. So how did that go? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for asking because the Winterlight Sound Bath is one of my favorites of the year, just because it's really a transmission that focuses on light in a way. So the phenomenon of the crystal singing bowl and these frequencies and all of that, the phenomenon of the sound and the frequencies is also really understood as light and as color. And so sound is color, is light, as we know. And so this particular sound bath, the Winter Light Sound Bath, is part of a series that I like to offer of sound healings that uses sonic geometries of light to boost the body system and the energy, especially during times of seasonal affect. So if people are feeling low from the lowered light level, the longer nights and the shorter days, that sound healing is actually a way to get the supplement of light through sonic frequencies, and can be really uplifting. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So where was that located and how many people were there?
Oh, thanks. Well, the gatherings tend to be about 12 people or so. That's about the size that I feel is really has a lot of synergy. And is also related to a lot of the venue sizes. And so
Mm,
this particular transmission was in person in Marin, and in a certain just very lovely, cozy space. And a lot of spaces in the Bay Area are very cozy. And I do base myself out of the Bay Area
nice.
mostly, and then also some in Southern California, and also the virtuals that can reach us anywhere we are. So, yes.
I love it. So now let's dive into your story. So talk to me about your early life. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? And what was your family like?
Oh, cool. Okay. The whole shebang. So, I'm a California girl, California born and raised. I was born in Los Angeles and grew up in Orange County. And my father's a jazz musician and an engineer,
Nice.
and he just passed in 2014.
Mm.
And my mother is art historian and a surrealist herself, also an artist. And so I really came from a creative background and was really supported in creative lifestyles, creative thinking, and was able to pursue art through my childhood. Childhood was very artful and very close to the earth. I played outdoors. I swam every day in the pool. I just even in the sound healings, my very young life of being a child on this earth, being into the pools and into the ocean and swimming and then laying on the earth and receiving the sunlight and just really communing energetically um, at that time really still informs my sound healing and my growing up in a music filled household, my father's music, and the kind of very jazz like way that even my sound transmissions are now, or the voice that I have being so much from my father, and my surreal nature being so much informed by my mother. And it was a really, really happy time growing up. I pursued art and psychology in college. I took a double major at University of California, Santa Cruz.
Nice.
Loved that, and have been fusing art and psychology ever since in my visual art or visual art practices, in performance art, and even now with the marketing for source field sound. I just love to make all the images and then even do the performances with a very artful presence and a very psychological presence that really gives way to the healing and the healing arts.
Nice. UC Santa Cruz, that's like the campus has like a forest. It's like in the forest practically, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd walk through the redwoods for, well, I don't know, it could be even 20 minutes just hoofing it through the canyon to get up to your next lecture. It was incredible experience
Oh
for
yeah.
learning just what it is to have that time before you're getting into your class, and then you're
Wow,
settling
yeah.
in, you're thinking, and then you're having this decompression time in nature. It was very powerful.
Nice.
Mm.
So obviously you went down the traditional path of school and all that. So how did you discover the healing power of sound and what drew you to become a spiritual sound healer?
Thank you. Well, uh, you know, aside from my experience and my interest in consciousness. So consciousness is the real overlap interest in art and psychology for me. And so besides from this interest of consciousness in my personal story, I was struggling with my own healing journey. I was struggling physically. I had a diagnosis of fibromyalgia at a young age, which was very difficult to deal with, especially at a young age when I had so much art to make and life to live. And I started pursuing different therapies and avenues and ways in which I could be improving my physical, spiritual and emotional experience because I was suffering at the time. And of course, I was also having a great life, and that's how these things are. But as I was seeking, I came across sound healing. It was given to me as a recommendation by a hypnotherapist that I was seeing at the time. She said, "I think you'd love this." And the more that I looked into it, the more interested I became. And I started taking classes because those first sound healing recordings that I was exposed to, I had taken to my painting studio, and I was listening to sound healings and painting. And my paintings were changing, and my brain was changing, and I
Oh,
could feel
wow.
it. My body was changing. I was having these strong experiences with sound healing that were giving me different physical understandings of myself and the world,
Wow.
previously inaccessible through any other treatments that I had tried for the fibromyalgia. And so I just became enraptured with something that could be so gentle and so powerful. And I started to pull a thread. I found the Globe Institute for Sound Healing and Human Consciousness. I started to take classes thinking that I would at least be finding meditations. I was already using meditations and trance-like practices like twirling or tapping or mantras in my art practice. And then incorporating sound healing was taking me to a new level of creativity and healing within myself. And it was not long before I just began to see a way to create something and share it because it was changing me so rapidly and for the better, I felt. And I wanted to share. So I created Source Field Sound.
Nice. So did you healed yourself of fibromyalgia through sound? Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, my spiritual journey also started with a hypnotherapist. I saw a couple of hypnotherapists. Or first I got sober. My 20s were a lot of wild times, a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, and first I got sober. I'm almost 2 years sober, and so it started with that, and then yeah, I saw a hypnotherapist as well, and then I went to ayahuasca, and I feel like I keep telling the same story over and over, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. Went to ayahuasca like a few months ago, and I've always known that I was a spiritual guy as well, and I'm just like I'm finding it more and more in this most recent year. So I'd like to ask you, so how did you come up with the name Source Field Sound?
Thank you. Thank you. No one's ever asked me that, and I'm happy to share. Just in my creative process, I began a lot of playing with words. I knew I wanted to develop the business, and I knew I wanted to really reach people with the title. And I really was looking at different words and different plays on words, and I really wanted to be able to convey what I felt was happening in these sessions, and what is this that we're listening to or receiving. And I was at the time really also so blown wide open spiritually and in my heart, and so much more from the healing that I had received through so much training so rapidly, and through the way that the sound healing had arrived to me. And it did feel like source energy, and I did feel that there was, and you can maybe attest to this, having experienced the sound transmission that I do. There is this sense of going someplace in the mind. It is a field, it is a palpable, energetic space. And whether that's within us, within our minds, or even someplace unseen, a realm, if you will, if you've tried the ayahuasca, you know about traveling to other realms. And I feel that this frequency medicine, sound bath, sound healing, my transmissions really allow us to access this kind of other realm, the source field. And it is source field sound because the sound is the vehicle by which we travel. And I feel that the word sound does also imply light and color and all of the vibrational healings, including energy healing, psychic healing, all of that. Sound is all of that. And so source field sound was born in that way. And I really checked it backwards and forwards for the beauty and the shape of the word, the sigil of the word, the magic that the letters and the shapes of the spelling, the artistry of even just the moniker source field sound was important to me. And I considered all of that and how I would use it and how it would speak for me.
Yeah, I've come to find that time, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I feel like time is cyclical. I feel like humans, we have this view that time is linear, but I'm coming to find that time is cyclical. And when I was listening in to your session, I almost felt like, I went like this was ancient technology, like ancient or future, whatever you want to call it, but I almost feel like, the aliens or whatever, like they use these sounds, and the ancient cultures of our time were well aware of the healing benefits of sound, and that's what I was feeling when I was in your session.
Oh, absolutely. It's otherworldly. And a lot of people who enjoy my sound healing and my offerings are also interested in the ideas of, whatever else. It opens up so much. Ancient aliens, technologies from the future, time and how it works. Is this a quantum existence? These are all questions that we can experience some sensation or phenomenon of when we're in the sound bath. It's quite magical. And it does leave a ton of room for interpretation, which makes it very accessible to all kinds of people in their interests. Are you interested in this because it makes you feel relaxed, or are you interested in this because it inspires you to think about forces that may be beyond us, or how ancient technologies could have functioned, or a connection to your own past? All kinds of experiences are possible with this really wild and wonderful form of meditation. And I love that because, everyone's welcome.
Nice. I love that
Mhm.
answer. So you kind of touched on it for a second there. So did you undergo a spiritual awakening? Would you label it a spiritual awakening? Or, what has that spiritual journey been like for you?
Mm, Great question. I have undergone many spiritual awakenings. Absolutely. Absolutely. I, I would describe myself as an innately spiritual person because I would also describe myself most accurately as an artist, which is also the word that we have for the person who is, meant to channel or to have vision, or, it's a very spiritual occupation, or it certainly can be an artist. And so that's been with me even as I was describing my childhood. My whole life, I've had a very serious side of introspection and the desire to create, you know, um, which I think can lead you to any number of awakenings at any time. And I certainly received a lot of initiations when I was a young person. I was 11 when I was given my first deck of tarot cards. Wasn't that an awakening? And through the years, and when I think, one of the first major spiritual awakenings that I did uh, encounter was, and maybe the answer that anyone would expect to hear, and that is that I did have a major surgery. I had a brain tumor, removed, had a brain surgery in 2008. And so at that time, I was really faced with the need for more courage than I ever knew was possible. I was very young at the time. And I also then experienced some very strong phenomenon directly on the other side of that experience. A literal hole was drilled in my head, and right here, or the third eye. And I do feel that the experience that I had was extremely spiritual, just outside of that experience. And that was maybe the most massive awakening I could have had. And along the way, I've had many times to live and die as a priestess, as an artist, as a woman, as a person living in San Francisco, and as a person on a path of discovery. Absolutely.
Nice. Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. So do you feel like you came out like a completely different person after that surgery?
Uh, no one's ever asked me that, and I've never considered it that way. But yes, I suppose I did. Yes, I
Wow.
suppose I did. At the time, I remember thinking that I had faced something that was larger than I knew, and I was very young. I was only 22 years old,
Wow.
and that did give me, like, something in courage and will that changed me forever. Surely.
Wow.
Mm.
That's amazing. I'd like to ask you, so do you have any siblings?
I do. I have
Yeah.
one brother.
One brother.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's also a musician and a really great guitar player, loves to shred the metal guitar. And he is also a creative person. He's a woodworker
Nice.
and he's also a software engineer here in the Bay Area.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice. Cool. So we kind of touched on it for a second there, talking about spiritual awakenings. I feel like a lot of people are, quote unquote, waking up, more recently, and more. So how would you define a spiritual awakening?
Right. So not everybody has to go through what I went through to access their spiritualism at all. But I do think a spiritual awakening will be categorized by the understanding that something about the way that we're constructing our lives, our behaviors, our emotions, our interactions, about something about the way that we're encountering this world isn't working. And we'll be asked to know what isn't working. And once you've had that thought that you might be empowered to shape your own life through whatever thoughts and behaviors and boundaries and disciplines and ways of loving and ways of giving and any number of other things and ways that we show up in life, our careers, our personal interests, our relationships, our families, whatever it is that we're doing, if we're coming up against a moment in which we're understanding that we need to make a change, that is when I feel spiritual awakenings will show up. They will tell you, you will receive the messages from within, or whatever you do believe about how intuition works, how guidance works. This is how people find faith. But spiritualism requires faith in yourself first and foremost. And so when you have a spiritual awakening and you find out that what you need is more faith in yourself and this world and what you have to give, we come up with awakening because how are we going to look at it now? How are we going to show up in the way that we want to as the divine beings that we are and the power and magic that we carry to be influencing in the world? And of course, that can be a harsh process. Like you're realizing, hey, I'm not doing what I want to be doing. Hey, I don't think I'm doing enough in this direction. Or a lot of times it sounds very critical inside our heads. And when we're facing these types of challenges, and that is often part of a spiritual awakening as well, is this idea that, hey, I want to make a change. And whatever comes along with that, as it begins to feel like disillusion or like confusion or any number of things when we're in the unknown, because we could be in a very unknown situation. It's likely we're wanting to make a change into something we don't know anything about because we're so expansive and we can. Mhm.
Nice, nice, nice. I love that. So can you explain the concept of vibrational healing and how sound plays a role in it?
Absolutely. And so sound, of course, is a vibration. It is a wave form, a sound wave. We know that. And if you've ever seen a picture of a sound wave, it has a high and then a low. And a wave form is defined as that energetic movement that moves in that wave-like form. A sound wave is easily understood in that way, but all kinds of things move in that way, including light and the appearance of color, uh, essential oils and smells, and the way that other pheromones can communicate as a vibrational healing. The energy that we give to others, whether it's loving and kind or aggressive, is a vibration. And so, there's so many different forms of communication that are in vibration, in frequency. And so vibrational healing refers to the way in which we start to combine the sound of perhaps of a tuning fork or a crystal bowl, the smell of a holy oil, such as frankincense, popular for the season right now here at December. But it's a tree sap. Frankincense is a tree sap, and we can smell that, and we can receive information and healing from that plant medicine that it is. Or the light, as I was describing, the light therapy is bringing us all kinds of effects within the body, or even the color therapy, bringing us into different sensory awareness and emotional correlations that can alter our state of being and uplift the spirits. And all of this is vibrational healing.
Nice. Yeah. I have this feeling, I'd love to get your thoughts on it, but I just feel like sound is at our core, like the essence of who we are. Like when you think about, the Bible or, different religious texts, what do they always say? The universe was created like with the Big Bang or like the Great Whisper, or, God, spoke life into existence. So it was first the vibration, the energy, and then it's like, God created the universe with, sound, and then those vibrations turned maybe into heat, and then heat turned into stars and galaxies and all that. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. What do you feel on that?
I believe it. I believe it because I believe in the power of mantra, because I know that I am a frequency and so are you. And because I think that the universal understanding of speaking things into existence. Of course, we have the evidence that you're talking about that's biblical, the reference of, the word of God being the initial spark of this existence. But even also a lot of ancient Indian traditions will talk about how sound and vibration is the meaning and making of the cosmos, the sound Om.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how does the mantra Om work? Well, we use the sound, and it moves out into the universe. It moves out into the void, which is the infinite creative, and that, in these traditions, the infinite void and the creative and the space that's out there, the cosmos, will arrange itself to the request of the prayer of the Om, of the word of creation, and in that way begin to show itself to you. Are the particles arranged to your wish, which is the same way in which we use manifestation when we speak our dreams into reality, by conversing to each other in community, and by being kind to ourselves in our meditations, and working with mantras and affirmations. These are all ways that we create from the sound and the frequency of that. And I think that no matter who you are, the power that frequency and the voice sound that we can produce is largely with our voice to be heard, and how powerful it is to make a request and then find that it's answered, how powerful it is to make a statement of love and see how that ripples out, make a statement of friendship and see how that bonds. It's very easy to see how the sounds that we're using can create. And I have no problem believing that this whole apparition of life is frequency.
Nice. I love that answer. So you touched on it for a second there. You're talking about mantras and stuff like that. Are there any mantras that you maybe use on a daily basis, or any of your favorite mantras or anything?
Oh gosh, well, I do Om Mani Padme Hum,
Uh,
because I love the visual, and that is that I am the jewel inside the lotus. Om Mani Padme Hum. And I can very clearly in my mind see the lovely, lovely image of what it looks like when a drop of water is just held in a flower in that way. And what it means is that we are all flowering and transforming, and the lotus grows from the muddiest waters and becomes the loveliest flower. And I just love the visual of it. I find it's very captivating for me, and I do use it anytime that I feel worry, anytime that I feel anytime that I feel that I need a boost in my development, my growth, my exploration. Anytime that I need to feel self-love, it works for me. I would say I use that one very often.
nice. I love
Mm.
that. So I'd like to ask you too, so like I said, this past year, I've been doing a lot of research into sound healing and all that. I'd like to ask you, are you familiar with the Integratron?
Oh yeah, great. Have you been?
No, have you?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Had a really great, strong experience there, and I love all of the kind of ET lore around the place, right? I love all of that. So
Yeah, yeah.
so fun, and just the local lore about how the blueprints for the structure had been given to local individuals who
Yeah.
then set about building this time traveling
Yeah.
time traveling in real
Yeah.
time. And it is a sound healing acoustic chamber. It's very, very cool to have sound bath inside there. I have received the crystal singing bowls inside the Integratron. It's powerful.
Nice. So yeah, can you talk a little bit about, the lore, how it came to be in that story of the Integratron?
Well, I can tell you a little bit. And I'm on the fly, so what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can tell you is that there was a local man who, at the time, I believe, was living under what's called the giant rock. And you can't hold me to any of this because I'm on the fly and I hadn't checked. But what I believe was that these plans for this sound healing technology, which would be received by people inside the dome. You see, the Integratron is this really cool dome, and when you go inside, you're in a great round room, and then you go up these stairs through the floor, up a ladder through the floor, and you're in this kind of elevated wooden chamber with these beautiful domed ceilings and all these port-like windows all the way around. And of course, it's out in the desert. It's in Landers, California. And so the idea that the way to build it, which would amplify the sound into the recipients, and the way people were supposed to lay inside and um, receive the singing bowl sounds, was given to this local man by ETs. He said that he was visited by extraterrestrials who gave him the information.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So I definitely want to go check it out. But yeah, so essentially there was this man, he had like a private landing strip for planes to land out there in the desert. You said Landers. Yeah, it's out there near a little north of Joshua Tree. And so yeah, like you mentioned, so he was contacted by an alien, in a UFO or whatever, and they gave him the blueprints and this technology to build this time machine, and similar to like Nikola Tesla, he was working on that Wardenclyffe Tower, and so yeah, this man, he was working on building this time machine, and he mysteriously died. So I don't
Mhm.
know, something happened there. Someone didn't want that machine to be built, but then it was passed down into his family, and then so they use it now as a sound healing center, and you can book a session there. I think. Do you know the price of it? I think they're like $60 or something.
I don't know what the price is, but I do know that you got to kind of reserve in advance, and they have
Yeah,
certain openings, and it is limited availability, and it's totally worth it. Absolutely check it out. Pay whatever it is because it's a very unique sound healing experience.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'd like to ask you, so what types of instruments or sound modalities do you incorporate into your healing sessions, and why?
Well, gosh, wide range of sound healing instruments. I'll try to cover a few, and I do have a couple of sound healing modalities that I work in. And I'll tell you about those too. And so, primarily, I love the crystal bowl. I love the crystal singing bowl. And I especially love what's called alchemy singing bowl. And alchemy singing bowls are a fusion of precious metals, precious gems, and high quality quartz crystal, and they're created with individual frequencies, and um, have a large grouping of them. Although even a single crystal bowl can be very powerful, and that's my favorite sound healing instrument. And really kind of what is the backbone of the sound bath experience, and the so much of the therapeutic help that I offer is because of the crystal singing bowl, the pulsations, the binaural beats, the sustained frequencies, and the brainwave entrainment, which is possible with crystal singing bowls. And that is why I use those. And I layer in the brass bowls for um, other therapeutic effect over the crystal singing bowls. And I also have a very large and deep gong, which is wonderful, and can be very felt. And I love the gong. They say you can hear every sound of the universe within the gong, and I know it's true. It's a deeply spiritual instrument, and I work with the gong, and sometimes do gong only, or gong and brass, or kind of these very integrative shadow transmissions with deep gong, and other instruments on the sound bath setup. So, for any sound journey, we're creating this whole dynamic landscape that's going to help you process through a lot of different types of thoughts and emotions, is the therapy. And so that creating that journey, you want all kinds of sound making instruments with rattles and chimes, and all kinds of things to punctuate that. And the the other modality, sound modality, that I love to work with is a tuning fork modality. And that's Eileen McCusac's biofield tuning. Yes, tuning forks are fantastic. And they're a pure tone instrument, and some of these tones from these tuning forks will change you instantly, I swear. And just by hearing it, it can be so inspiring, so uplifting, so balancing, so grounding, any number of things, infinite frequencies with the tuning forks. And that modality is very different than the sound bath, which gives you that journeying experience and gives you that kind of internally guided. The tuning forks are much more precision energy work when I'm working with clients, and the tuning forks, I'll be working in the aura, I'll be working in the timeline, I'll be working in and around the memories and records that we carry in our auras and all of that, and using those pure tones. And so achieving just a very different level of sound therapy with the tuning forks. And the final modality that I work with in sound healing is hypnosis. And I use the sound of my voice and other binaural beats to work with clients, and the sound healing of just the voice saying to you that you are love and you are loved in a deep state of trance can be transformative as well.
Nice. I love that. Yeah. So like I showed you. So yeah, I have this 528 hertz tuning fork, and I have this over here, this Tibetan singing bowl, and so I kind of just heal myself with the singing bowl and with the tuning fork. I kind of just rub it on myself or whatever in my room. I'm not really sure what it's doing, but I do that kind of like every day.
Mm. Absolutely. The powerful tools of a single tuning fork and a single small brass bowl is enough to be seeing results. I mean, maybe you're coming to me for the sound bath, which is this whole experience, but even a single bowl can cause remarkable transformation. Same with the tuning forks. You may come to a practitioner to have, a session performed on you, but you may also get a lot of benefit and upliftment from using the sound and creating the time, of course, right? Because so much of healing is really just letting ourselves know this is the time, this is the moment, this is the energy for the healing, because we can all be, you know, in a state of healing at any time. It's within our human nature.
Nice, nice. Yeah, just by like looking at you and hearing your voice, I can just tell you're a very spiritual person. So I also feel like you're more than just a sound healer. Amongst all the noise and the labels, I'd like to ask, so how do you define yourself in the work you do?
Thank you so much. What a nice thing to say. There's so many sound healers now, and I'm so happy about it because, like I said, there's so many different levels at which we can access the vibrational healing. And so different practitioners having different activation levels is important. As I was talking about my personal history with my spiritual awakenings and all of that, I have experienced what I would call a high level of activation. Have been tested. I have been in contact with the part of myself that is deeply creative and artistic. My whole life, that was a gift given to me by my creative parents, right? So certainly I do recognize the medicine that I carry, and I carry that with just the utmost humility. I do call myself an artist and a practitioner of the healing arts. And I do carry the service of the goddess and the feeling of being a priestess to the goddess within my personal way that I've come to regard myself in my way of healing the feminine within me in this modern world. And so I do consider myself a priestess of the goddess, and try to be in integrity with the volume of emotion and psychic power that does come with being a deeply spiritual female. This is not something that we really have a lot of discussion around in this kind of like pop spiritual American spiritualism as we have it, but it's something that does live within me deeply, and I'm touched and humbled and happy that you recognize me for what I am, but I do humbly just refer to myself as an artist and a practitioner of the healing arts.
Nice. So you mentioned it a couple of times there. So you said that you kind of see yourself as a priestess for the goddess. So what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, I do consider myself a feminist because I do put forward the energies of females in this life.
Mhm.
Occupying a female body and a female experience myself, and
Yeah.
what it is to be a feminist for me is to be seeking to elevate and speak well on feminine energies in the world, and to do that, I focus on calling divine energies the goddess, and I focus on the ways in which the cyclical energy of my life and my body, the cyclical energy of
Mm.
just the world, as you mentioned, seems very feminine to me, and I uphold that cyclical nature and what it is to be in touch with all the aspects of ourselves, to be observant of emotion and unseen realms and spiritual life. Has come to me in a very feminine way. I do refer to it as the goddess, which is divine, although anyone could be accessing that same framework with a different language as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just curious, because I feel like, especially in the Western world, in the Bible and everything, it's God and He. It's always masculine, right? But in the ayahuasca experience, and they refer to ayahuasca as the great grandmother spirit, the grandmother spirit, and yeah, in the ayahuasca experience, the entity, the divine that I was encountering felt feminine to me. So yeah, I was just
Yes,
curious. Yeah.
certainly, and that's not to at all discount any of the frameworks that hold up God as a male figure at all. But for me, I'm very interested in some of these ancient powers, and the goddess is a very ancient power. And so for me, I'm interested to even reach back farther than some of these lineages that are focusing on kind of the one god as a male figure. Not to discount the validity or power within those stories at all. Those are very important understandings of the divine to me. And I love Jesus Christ in my heart. But I also really connect deeply, deeply to some of these innate and more base qualities of emotion and things like cycles of life and death, which I think are very well described and, for me, very experienced as some of these ancient goddess-like um, manifestations that we still have access to today.
Nice. So thank you for sharing your insights on that. So moving on, I'd like to ask you, um, do you believe that different types of music or sounds resonate with the specific chakras or energy centers in the body?
I do. I absolutely do. Yeah, there are physical sensations and physical correlations and all kinds of evidence for this. Even just my lived experience as evidence that, let's say I'll be designing the sound bath and it'll be a throat chakra transmission. And maybe I don't even tell people that, but that's a correlation I'm making for myself when I thought about the astrologies and whatever else might be going on that I thought would be interesting. And I wrote a transmission that is a throat chakra transmission. And someone will come to me at the end and they will say, you know what? I had the most powerful experience with my throat chakra. And so time and time and time again, even though I am a skeptic and have always been a skeptic and will always be a skeptic of everything, because I think that's a good way to be, seeking information always, I am often given the evidence that there are correlations in the body and to the chakras, and of course that is backed up on all kinds of research. If you want access to that kinds of research, the Globe Institute does have a large collection of papers written and other studies published.
Nice. So you kind of talked about being skeptical, right? So can you discuss any challenges that you faced in conveying the effectiveness of spiritual sound healing to a broader audience who might be skeptical to it?
Well, surely, if you say it out loud, like, all right, I'm going to play this crystal singing bowl, and we're going to talk about some of these really abstract concepts about our minds and journeying, but we're not going anywhere. Or you try to explain this to somebody and they're thinking, like, what could you possibly be talking about? And of course, it's very abstract, but it is undeniably having an effect. And again, this is where I personally find that it's very advantageous to be open to any level of access. So even if someone is experiencing this and just saying, wow, I felt relaxed and I think I got better sleep. So for me, the challenge is really how to find out what kind of access people would want to have or feel comfortable with, or how would they relate, and then to present to them that information for them. So if, for example, they seek relaxation, then that is the level of information that they should receive to understand this. If they're seeking to travel deeply into their past lives, then we can do that with the sound healing too. But that's not going to be for everyone. And so the challenge is, how can I put this in front of people in a way that they can access, that's right for them, and find out, what is this experience and does it have a benefit for them? Mhm.
Nice, nice. I love that. So I'd also like to ask you, have you encountered any mystical or profound experiences while practicing sound healing that you'd like to share?
Well, I surely have. I've surely witnessed and seen all kinds of things in the unseen realms, which is an intangible place, or can be very difficult to explain. But what I can say is that when we request more information, when we as human beings request to be shown more, to see more, and we allow our senses to become attuned and hone in with presence, with focus, with intention, I have found that a lot of information exists already for us to see or to witness. And so in some of these sessions, especially private sessions, but also in the sound bath groups, I've had beautiful experiences of light and color, vibrational apparitions of thought forms, of meditation, palpable feelings within a room, the way in which every person will move in harmony during the sound bath together, um, even the way in which people bring with them their guides and their whole frequency and vibes, and the way in which people's auras on their faces will just be undulating and maybe even quite changed before and after the sound bath. And so I'm talking about a lot of abstract things, but when we're really in these liminal spaces of meditation, which can be very psychedelic, even without psychedelic assistance of plant medicines, this liminal space of sound healing can really take us to psychedelic places. And I have seen and experienced all kinds of a wild phenomenon there. It's beautiful
Wow,
because
yeah.
I'm open.
Yeah, I bet you
Mhm.
have. So I'd also like to ask you, so how do you stay attuned to your own energy and well-being while facilitating healing for others?
Thank you so much. It's so important to be understanding of my own body and my own energies, and to be dedicated. And this is one of the ways in which I am also dedicated to the goddess, to be dedicated with my body and my energies to loving this body, and loving the energy that it takes to be creating that sustenance. And so I cook. I love to cook. I cook my food. I believe food is medicine. I love to go to the beach. I go to the beach and I balance there and I meditate there, and I do that as often as I can. I do that all the time. And I just try to make sure to be really taking care of my body. And I have practices that do that within my life to support that, with my own meditation or bathing, or even just making sure to maintain a lot of balance, and to make sure to check in with myself each and every time about what's in integrity for the energy that I have to give. Now, that being said, it does sound like I'm living a very luxurious lifestyle, but I do live a very kind of simple lifestyle in a way, which supports me to do that, So, um, I do live simply, but I live well with what I have, and I take my time in everything that I do. I take my time, and that leads me to have time, which leads me to be available in this way and to be doing what I love. This is my joy. So, being in that is supplementary as well.
Nice. I love that answer. So, kind of closing it out, what vision do you have for the future of your work, and your mission? And how do you see sound healing evolving into the broader spiritual community?
Absolutely. It's evolving so quickly. And I knew it would. I knew it would when I signed on for this. When I decided to develop a practice, I thought, what's going to happen? And it's already happening, and that is that sound healing is becoming a yoga-like offering, the yoga of sound. That people are realizing that they can access this type of meditation. And there are many, many, many new sound healers that are coming out, and many sound healers quickly turned towards schools and trainings and capitalizing on that. And so there's going to be a rapid expansion, and it's happening right now. Sound healing is coming to a place near you. Like, do try it, and do keep trying it, and do keep on seeking a practitioner that works with your energies and for you. And that is where I see my practice going, is continuing to find people who resonate with me as a healer, as a practitioner of the healing arts, who want to keep going with this journey, who like my artful approach, and the artistry that I put into this, which is joyful for me, is of a certain taste for sure. And that's not going to be for everyone. And so for me, my excitement for the practice as we're moving forward is to be able to just really be supported in the artistry of the healing path for you all and with you all, and to be leaning into that creative aspect, and thereby supporting and encouraging anybody who has the creative spark within themselves, making itself aware to you all, to find out what that's about. So for me, this is really about expanding and amplifying the frequencies of art, of healing, of higher consciousness, and the way that is rippling out.
Nice. I love that. I love that answer. So my goal also with this show is to really empower people, educate people, and open them up to these different spiritual practices. And so I always like to close out the show. I like to ask the guests, can you just send the listeners out there a final message of love and healing?
Absolutely. I love each and every one of you so much on your healing journey. And I just want everyone to know that it is a process, it is a lifestyle, it is a choice, but we have so much power within ourselves to be healing ourselves and to be having an experience that we want to have, and creating that. And that these offerings that are out there, not only mine, but these healing offerings that are out there are really, they're seeking you too. So you are seeking the healings, and these things that are being created seek to find you. And I want to say, I am because you are. And I know that we'll find each other in the ether. Thank you.
Awesome. I love that. So thank you so much, Nikki, for meeting with me today. And thank you for providing such great wisdom and insights on this episode. I also want to thank the listeners for sticking around to the end. So Nikki, please tell everyone where to find your information, and I'll also add it to the description of the video.
Thank you so much. Please come over to Instagram. It's Source Field Sound.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.